Hey guys, coming up from the mid-season premiere of Empire, Season 2, Episode 11, Death Will Have His Day, and I really didn't know what to think about this episode, because you guys know that Episode 10 was probably the most divided episode of Empire I've been. I mean, there were some things I thought were really great, and some things I thought downright sucked, and because of that, I didn't know how this episode was going to be, because I knew they were going to follow the events of what happened in Episode 10, but I also thought this could be in a really good direction for the show, and to my surprise, this is definitely one of the strongest episodes we've had so far this season, and I gotta say, I really love what this episode did, because this is pretty much what I wanted this season of Empire to be. Not a whole bunch of really pointless storylines. No, what this part of the season is doing is that they're getting rid of all the things that didn't work in the first half of the season, and they're just gonna not talk about them because no one really liked them. For example, the Lion Dynasty Empire conflict. It just didn't really do anything. It didn't go anywhere. The characters were divided for too long. We didn't really see much of a feud going on, and it just didn't really work for me. So yeah, that was definitely a problem that they had. And then the whole situation with, like, just everything, a lot of the Laz, we'll never hear about him again. Lee Daniels even said that he really felt the first half of the season didn't go the way he wanted to, and he's really going to try and make the second half more or less what he wanted this second season to be. And I definitely think that's really great, because it shows that they do actually care about the show. They want to make a quality show, and definitely this episode was really great. I really loved this episode. This was a really strong premiere. There were some amazing scenes in this episode. Don't get me wrong, there were still some things that I don't love. I definitely will say that, but let's just get into this episode, because I really enjoyed, definitely one of the strongest of the season. Definitely, like I said, really enjoyed it. Episode 4 is still my favorite this entire season, but this was still a great episode, and I loved it. So, as we know, at the end of the last episode, we were basically to assume that Rhonda has died, and we see right away that she's not dead. She's at the bottom of the staircase, someone walking out the door that she can't see clearly. Her head is bleeding, and basically, we can tell right away that she's not dead. She just has a very bad head injury. And we don't know, of course, who pushed her down the stairs. And we still don't find out in this episode, which I'm sure is going to be a mystery that we have for the rest of the season. Which, it's an interesting one, definitely. I mean, again, I don't really understand why they do this to Rhonda, but Andre tells Lucious that they need to go before the cops show, and he can tell right away that there's something wrong with Rhonda. He knows that. Thirsty says that the emergency vote was unlawful and can show Mimi and Camilla were acting illegally, and Andre says they can check the charter in the morning, and they push back. Lucious says that he won't go, and Andre goes to find the charter, and they're basically going to try to find a way to get Empire back right away from Mimi and Camilla, because they know that they're not doing the right thing, and, you know, obviously they've been betrayed, and Rhonda comes to, but is in bad shape. She looks around and whispers help. No one is there to hear her, and it's really sad, because you see that she is in fact okay, but she just doesn't know what's going on. And Hakeem then finds Cookie in her place, and she says hi to him, and this is a very intense scene, but I love the way this scene was done. I thought this was very well handled, and especially Taraji P. Henson. I mean, she's done good this season, but she's really been out of character. This definitely felt more closer to Cookie than it has for this entire season, because like I said, if I had to pick a character that was out of character the most of the season, it would be Cookie. It just something about her, when they did that last storyline, it just didn't seem believable. I'm glad they're not bringing that up. I'm glad that's kind of over, because now we don't have to deal with that right now. We can focus on Cookie and this whole situation, because she says hi, and he's obviously startled, and she asks him why he'd do this to his family, and he says he did it to Lucious, and I like that they tried to make sense of this, like what was going on here. She says that he gave their business to a half-lesbian bitch and threw away their legacy, and she's obviously really upset about it, because they've worked so hard. All of the legwork, definitely, all of the legwork that went into that, definitely, I thought was, really, you know, you can tell how effortlessly they worked. Definitely, I think that's really well done, the way they handled that. I think that's very well done the way they did that here, and I'm with her. I mean, she had a right to be angry here, and basically she says that he'll take his vote back. She wants him to take it back immediately, and of course he's not going to, because there's a reason why he voted, and she says take your vote back. He says no. She says take it back, beats him with a broom, then something else, and then something else she grabs, and it's a really funny scene, because in his mind he's picturing all the good moments he had with Cookie, and yeah, he really had no reason to vote against her. That's the thing. I mean, Cookie was the one that said, vote for your family, remember we love you. And I was even thinking, I mean, yeah, he remembered all those terrible things with Lucious, but Lucious, like, is really the thing that made him this huge star, if you remember. He was the one that got him to stardom, he was the one that wanted him to be this big artist and everything, and yeah, he kind of screwed him over, but he really made him this big artist, and basically, he should be happy because of that. So Jamal's performing his nominated song at the ceremony. He thanks the crowd, says it's been a crazy day. He says he wasn't going to come, but his mom told him to get his ass there. He says he knows they're talking about him and his dad being nominated against each other, but he says that he supports his dad 100% and dedicates the song to him. Which this I like, because I really did not want to go in having this feud between Jamal and Lucious. It's just, I find it very unnecessary. We didn't need it, and I'm glad that we didn't get it, because I really didn't want it, to be honest with you guys. I thought it was pointless if we were to do that. I definitely wouldn't have been a fan of that if we were to possibly, if they were to focus on that. I definitely would not have liked that. So I'm glad that we don't have this feud going on. Again, they realized that wouldn't have worked, and basically I like that we have, Jamal and Lucious actually being civil towards each other and actually being okay with the two of them being nominated. They really have no reason to be upset with each other. I mean, they are the two that probably have been the most loyal, definitely. I mean, Jamal was in Lucious's position. He now understands how hard Lucious works and how hard of a position it was, and I like seeing that. So Rhonda crawls across the floor, grabs her phone, but it's broken. She cries and there's blood all over her legs too. She says, God, no, please save the baby. And that's what she's most concerned about. She doesn't care about her own health. She just cares that her baby lives. And she says she doesn't care what happens to her, and Jamal sings on as she lies there. She throws her phone and cracks the front door glass. That triggers her security system. The cops beat at the door of Lucious's office. Thirsty hides their guns. He says his client is the CEO and can be there. And Camilla calls him pathetic and says he's the former CEO. And the cops tell Lucious that he's trespassing. And Becky comes in and says Rhonda's in at the hospital and the baby might not make it. And obviously they're freaking out because of this. Because obviously Andre didn't know about all this, and that gets him out of the chair. And Lucious meets Cookie and Jamal outside a room. He says that they have to pull it together before Andre gets there. And Hakeem shows up, and Cookie says nobody wants to see his ass and tells him to get out of there because, he's betrayed their family. I mean, he hasn't really given a good reason as to why he did this. And obviously she's really pissed, which she has a reason to be. So Andre shows up. Lucious says he's sorry, says that there was an accident. And Cookie says that Rhonda survived, but the baby didn't make it. We find out right away that Rhonda has had a miscarriage. She says they can try again, but he starts crying, knowing that they're not going to have this baby. And you can tell that Lucious is really upset too, because Lucious really wanted a lion heir. Yes, he wanted an heir, but I think he also really cared about them having this baby. If you remember, he did all that stuff for them, bought them an apartment, bought them baby things, and now knowing they can't have it, I mean, it's really sad, definitely, and I really think that that's a very sad storyline. But again, I like that they did this because a lot of people said this pregnancy storyline wasn't really working, and now they can, now by killing the baby, it kills that storyline. So I definitely think we're still gonna have the mystery of who pushed Rhonda down the stairs, but the whole thing with her being pregnant, now she's no longer pregnant, and it's sad, but it does give Andre something to do. And like I said, that was my main problem with the first half of the season, that in the beginning of the season, Andre had all these demons going on in his head and all these things going on, with him killing Vernon and whatnot, and he still hasn't confessed to killing Vernon, as we know. So, basically, now I think is the time for us to focus more on Andre, focus more on how he deals with this, and I like seeing that. I definitely do enjoy that, and I think it's a good storyline. So, basically, Cookie holds him. Hakeem stands apart from them crying. Andre throws a fit, and they hold him. And Cookie says, please stop, they'll come take you away. And he's freaking out at this point. He just wants to see Rhonda immediately, even though he can't. And he later sits by, and I gotta say, the actor that played him, I mean, he did a great job. You really saw the desperation and emotion, and just overall, how pissed he really is. I mean, he really wanted this baby. He really wanted Rhonda to have this baby, and we know that Rhonda really wanted this baby as well. So, very sad. I definitely felt bad for Rhonda in this episode, more than anyone, honestly. Really, that was very sad, and definitely really interesting stuff there. So, that was very sad to see. So later, Andre sits by Rhonda's bed. She thinks she slipped and doesn't know what happened, and she kind of has amnesia, and in many ways it's a good thing because he doesn't want to tell her that the baby died, and basically says, don't blame yourself, he kisses her hand. She says she was lying here and prayed to God to save the baby and not her. She says moonlight came in through the window and she thought he answered, and Andre says that God saved her, but Rhonda says that there is no God, which is very interesting that she thinks this now. She says if there is a God, their baby would still be there, and obviously the baby's not there, so there isn't a God, and I like the way this is going, because Andre and Ron have always been on the same side with faith. Like, Rhonda's been the one to push Andre in that direction, pursue faith, believe in God, and things like that. And now that the baby has died, she feels this is God's fault, and the fact that there isn't a God, and it's really sad, definitely. But again, it makes sense. And basically, he holds her hands, and I really did feel bad for Andre and Ron in this situation. So Cookie goes to Lucious's place and calls out to him. He doesn't answer. She finds him in bed and asks if he's okay. And obviously, Lucious is going through a really hard time, and I like seeing Lucious not be the CEO of Empire. It's just something we haven't seen before. And she says lay down with him and cuddles up close. He hugs her back. Cookie wakes up in the morning alone in his bed, and Lucious is in his dressing room loading a gun, and he says he's going to take his company back. He says he doesn't know how their son turned out to be so rotten, and at this point, he's willing to just shoot Hakeem, which I can totally understand why he wants to shoot Hakeem, because the reason Hakeem didn't vote for Lucious was entirely personal, and I think Lucious has every right to shoot Hakeem. Should he kill Hakeem? No, don't kill Hakeem. That's not the way to do it, but, I mean, this is Lucious we're talking about. He takes very drastic measures, and it seemed very in character that he'd do that. I mean, we know that the first episode, he killed Vernon. I don't remember why. I mean, we know in the first episode he killed Bunky, and I don't remember why exactly he killed Bunky, but he did kill Bunky in the first episode, if you remember. But basically, we then see, she says maybe the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. Lucious says if Hakeem tries to be CEO, it won't turn out good for him. She said don't say that. She said she's going to take Camilla out from the inside. He asks who she will, and she says give me 2 days before you do something you'll regret. And yeah, Lucious really needs to take some time before he does something bad, because, yeah, if he kills Hakeem, he's definitely going to regret it. He's going to be really upset, he'll be really broken, and I like that Cookie tried to stop him from this. So she says, put the damn thing away, walks out. Camilla then tells Hakeem, and we are seeing a lot of Camilla, which I do like seeing, but again, I just don't get why Hakeem would believe her lies. I just don't understand it. Camilla tells Hakeem she's sorry about Andre's baby. He asks how long she was planning to take Lucious out, and she says as soon as he banished her, and she asked him to get rid of his Mexican girlfriend, and she says she can make him CEO, and she wants him to get rid of Laura, which is the one thing that he really doesn't want to do, because he says that he's never felt a love like this before, and obviously he doesn't really want to get rid of her. But she says the board wants Jago, Locke, and Cookie shows up and says she has a deal. She says she will acquire them her company since Hakeem belongs to her, and yeah, she's going to give them Lion Dynasty, which I think that makes a lot of sense. Remember, Lion Dynasty is not Empire. It's kind of like competing with Empire, and by giving her Lion Dynasty goes away, and again, that's not working. She says 20 million and says Camilla can't have Hakeem, and Camilla says she will crush her. Cookie asks if he wants to be CEO, and she says she can push Jago out of the way. Camilla says this company won't be run like gangsters anymore, and again, I get her point that they're just going too far, and they need to be a bit more vocal and not as violent, and yeah, I definitely do understand that. But Cookie asks if Hakeem is going to pick that skank over his family. He says, at least she won't beat me with a purse. And again, why are you upset about Cookie with this? I mean, Cookie's done this kind of stuff before. She was pissed at you. I mean, she had every right to beat him with that purse, definitely. And Camilla says, not unless he wants her to. Cookie makes a mess, then walks out, and this is the Cookie that I love. The Cookie we saw in this episode, the one that cares about her family, the one to do anything for her family. This is the Cookie that I love. She was funny, she was sassy, and I loved it. So Lucious meets Thirsty at Lavicus, and he wants Thirsty's thugs to meet with the board members and intimidate them, which is a good idea, but Thirsty says they can intimidate Jago into backing off, and they ask Lucious who will handle Hakeem. He picks up his gun and says he'll take care of Frito, and Thirsty says let's get to work, hands out photos of the board members to the thugs, and basically, they're going to try to find a way to get Empire back. You know that's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they get Empire back in an episode or two, but I don't know. The way this is going, it might take them a while to get Empire back, definitely. I think it might actually take longer than we think, and I'd like seeing that. I mean, the show was so fast-paced last season that all the really good storylines just kind of faded away because they were too short. They lasted way too short, and I think this is a good way for them to kind of set things up, but not actually have it happen in this episode. So, Thirsty says they can... Oh, I just read this. So, basically, Anika then comes to see Rhonda to act like she's comforting her, and I am, like, 90% sure that Anika is the one that pushed Rhonda down the stairs and killed the baby. It would make sense. Anika wants a baby. Anika wants the heir, and if she's not, then she doesn't really serve a point in the show anymore, because, of course, her baby is Hakeem's and everything. But at this point, Anika just kind of feels like an afterthought, and Anika says things happen for a reason. Rhonda cries, says she feels guilty, and she let Andre down. Rhonda says she's upset they lost the heir to the Empire, and Anika says there will be another. And of course, we know that Anika was not up by Hakeem, which I don't know if Rhonda necessarily knows. She knows that she's having a baby. But the thing is with Anika and Rhonda, just the way that she's saying that, her line, it just feels very sinister. And I really wouldn't be surprised if Anika did in fact push Rhonda down the stairs. Because if she didn't, I mean, I don't really see the point in this. I'd like a genuine Rhonda and Anika friendship. I think it'd be good, but there's no way that's going to happen. I mean, Anika is not getting what she wants from this family. She wants to have this baby. She wants the baby to be the heir to the Lion family, and the only way for her to do that was to kill the other baby. It would just make sense. It's sinister, it's disgusting, but Anika's done stuff like this before. We know how much of a scheming bitch she is. We know how much she wants to get what she wants, and it wouldn't really, I think, be that surprising if Anika did in fact do this. I wouldn't be surprised if she did. So Hakeem talks to Jamal about taking the CEO seat at Empire, and Hakeem says that Lucious deserves all that and worse, and I like the scene between Hakeem and Jamal, because while all this drama's going on, Hakeem and Jamal are actually okay. Like, there's not really a lot of problems going on with them. Jamal's not really that upset about Hakeem. He kind of understands why Hakeem did this, and Hakeem says Lucious deserves all that and worse. Jamal says he hated running Empire and says it took him away from his music and was stressful, and he's actually saying don't run Empire because it's going to make you really stressed out. I mean, Lucious is able to do that because he's done that kind of stuff his entire life, and Hakeem says that Camilla told him to ditch Laura, but he wants to keep her, and Jamal says we can't have it all, and Hakeem agrees and pours another drink, and Jamal asks Hakeem if he's willing to give up Empire for a girl, how much does he want it anyway? And that's a good question. Does he really want Empire? I mean, Hakeem's never really expressed interest. Remember the first season, he didn't want it. He said point blank, I don't want Empire. In the beginning of the season, he said he didn't want it either, and now he's on the edge of tears, and he really is to make a tough decision here, because now he's been manipulated by Camilla, he's put him in this situation, and he really has to figure out, does he want to be with Laura still? Laura is at a group rehearsal. Hakeem kicks open the door, says cut the damn music. He tells Laura she's lazy and is behind the other girls, and basically he's trying to get a reason for them to break up. She asks why he's acting like this. Hakeem says she doesn't work hard enough. Laura and Hakeem argue when the two other girls tell them they're tired of the telenovela. He calls her a stupid virgin ass, and Laura says, oh my god, it was so stupid. Jamal meets, and again, I understand why, Laura, is really upset about this, because obviously it's kind of coming out of nowhere, but Jamal then meets with, and basically it seems like they've broken up, like Hakeem and Laura broken up, and you understand this is kind of just Hakeem finding a reason for them to break up. I don't think he really wanted to break up with her, but because Camilla told him to, he kind of has to. So Jamal meets with Jameson, and I like the way this scene was done, because I didn't even realize that Jamal was kind of having an affair with Skye. I didn't even realize that, but he meets with Jameson, who asks why he's screwing around with Skye when he's gay, and Jamal says he's not. Jameson reminds him, in other countries around the world, being gay is enough to get you killed, and I like these scenes between Jameson and Jamal, because Jameson really is trying to figure out, you say you're gay, but you're having sex with a woman, and it doesn't really make sense. So, basically, Lucious plays piano. One of the board member keys his locks at the golf club, and his car blows up, and another finds her car being strung up dead, and another is roughed up and beaten by two thugs, and basically you can tell that they're trying to take out the people running the company. Jamal tells Cookie he will burn Hakeem down if he takes over as CEO, and Cookie lectures Jamal, says music first, says he needs to win the ASA against his dad, so he's on the road to being legendary, and yeah, Jamal can't really focus on taking out Hakeem. He needs to focus on the music, and that's what matters, and he says Jameson is pulling back his support because of Skye, and Cookie says pick a team, as if he's confused bisexual now, and he says sexuality is fluid, and she scoffs, and the way they kind of talk about bisexuality, I don't really agree with, but I do get Cookie's point that he does need to make a choice. He came out on national television, and all of a sudden he's having sex with a woman. It just doesn't really add up, and she doesn't really understand. He really needs to figure out where he really is, and Cookie says he just wants to be freaky-deaky with everyone. He says sex with two women in his life doesn't define him. He says he's still a gay man looking for a hot man to love, and Cookie says don't piss a off guy like Jameson off, and says think about it like a campaign, and she says get your gay back, and I thought was kind of a funny scene, but it also shows that Cookie's saying, be who you want to be. Don't think you have to be this other person just to please people. Be who you really want to be. It's a good scene. So Camilla says the CEO candidates have withdrawn their nominations due to personal reasons. Jago says if any of his thugs are here, they can go to hell with the company. He walks out. Camilla asks for nominations, and Hakeem immediately says him, and he says he's not scared of bitch-ass at Lucious. He hops on the table, says he's got the swag to run this. He says he will take this to the future, not the past like Lucious. He gets applause, and I get get what Hakeem wants to do. He wants to make Empire better, but is Hakeem really that good? Is Hakeem really that good enough to run Empire? Because I don't really know. I mean, there's a part of me that feels like, yeah, this is the right thing to do, but then there's a part of me that's like, Hakeem didn't want it, and now all of a sudden he does. Maybe it's because he rejected it. Maybe it's just that he, rejected so many times. Maybe he kind of wants it now, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Very interesting stuff with Hakeem. I think it's interesting to see where that's going, and I definitely do like that. So I definitely interesting how that's going to go. And basically, Jamal takes the stage in ASA event. He says he wrote a new song. He sings about how he wants to love everybody, and he has both a woman and a man grinding on him. He says he wants to love, don't tell him how to love, and sings about freedom to get what he wants. And he dances all up on a hot woman, then a guy dances up on him, and Jameson and the crowd dig it. They're seeing that he kind of plays for both sides, and if that's who he wants to be, then that's who he is, and I like seeing that. So at the hospital, Jamal sits in the waiting room with Andre, and Cookie brings coffee, and Cookie brings coffee, and we see she asks Andre if Rhonda is happy to be going home. He says she's scared they can't have kids anymore because she had this miscarriage, and now he's worried that that's gonna be the only baby. And Cookie says that she had a miscarriage before the three of them came along, and I like this scene. It shows that this is not going to be the end, that she could have another baby, and I like that Cookie's trying to help him here. She says it was a little girl. She thought it was the end of the world. Then she had 3 beautiful boys, and I don't think we've heard this story before. I definitely really like seeing that. A very good scene. I definitely enjoyed this, and they talk about Hakeem pulling out the CEO move, and Andre asks why she tried to sell her label. She says it was a move to get her on the inside. Jamal says that he has an idea, and we don't really know what it is exactly, but Andre then carries Rhonda to the house, jokingly calls her clumsy. He says, don't beat yourself up, says she'll get through this. She says she loves him, and he says the same. He offers to carry her upstairs. She doesn't want to sleep up there ever, and he agrees because obviously she fell from there, and she asks for vodka, and he offers water. Rhonda looks at the stairs. She fell down and grabs her crutch, and she hobbles to the stairs, looks at them, says she can do this. She takes one step and then another. She loses her balance, has to lie down on the stairs, and I like that she's struggling here. I like that this isn't, oh, she's automatically better. This isn't like a Hakeem situation where he's kidnapped throughout then the episode, he's dealing with it, and then all of a sudden he's magically better. No, we see that she is out of the hospital, but she is struggling, and she sits back up, has a flashback of her fall. She looks horrified, and she really, I think, is afraid to climb those stairs because of what happened, and you can definitely understand that. So Camilla feeds Hakeem as he sits in the CEO chair. Cookie calls her Yoko, and Jamal congratulates him, says that the throne brings out the darkness. If you don't know who Yoko Ono was, she kind of was this girl that manipulated John Lennon, and a lot of people say the reason the Beatles broke up, so that's why Cookie is calling her that. Jamal congratulates him, says that throne brings out the darkness in her. Hakeem threatens to release Jamal's album when he wants, and Jamal said the Dynasty will release the album. Andre's there too and says there were no written stipulations. Camilla threatens to sue, and Jamal says they can leak it online, and Hakeem says Lion Dynasty can come under them, and Camilla says no. She really wants to work everything. She doesn't want Lion Dynasty to be a side thing. She wants to be part of this, and she really wants this to be organized, which I understand. So Andre, Cookie, and Jamal pitch a deal. Cookie says she wants to be head of A&R. Camilla says don't do it, but they will dethrone her. She says it's the biggest mistake she can make. Hakeem says maybe, but he wants them to be a real family, but without the mistakes that Lucious made, and I like this with Hakeem. I like that Hakeem just doesn't want to betray his entire family. He kind of just wants to betray Lucious because he feels that Lucious is the one that's made things so bad, and yeah, in many ways, that is why things turn out really badly. The reason that Lion Dynasty didn't work is because of Lucious. The reason a lot of things don't work is because of Lucious, so I see why Hakeem really wants to take out Lucious. I definitely understand that. So Hakeem says deal. Camilla storms out. Cookie smirks, and Cookie tells Lucious he can use her label offices as long as he likes, and he says he digs the vibes. She says focus on music and leave the dirty work to Cookie, and he says she's the boss. She slaps his ass, says don't forget it. He smiles. Andre is then packing up stuff in the nursery. Sadly, he looks at the bassinet, and a stuffed dinosaur then breaks down. Kneels and looks at, whispers to an imaginary baby, then breaks down sobbing and cries into a pillow. He begs God for strength, and it's a really sad scene. You really see that he wanted this baby, and more than that, he knew that Rhonda wanted this baby, and they did all this stuff for this baby, and now they have to get rid of all of it, and it's really sad, definitely. So I really did feel bad for Andre here. I thought they really did a good job in giving him something to do, and I like that. And I do feel it's going to be his plot for the rest of the season, is really trying to get over the fact that he didn't have this baby, and can he move past it? Definitely, it's a really big tragedy. I don't really think that Andre's ever really been through something like this. I mean, obviously he has bipolar and everything, but he's kind of dealt with it, and we know when something really bad happens, it's really hard for him to deal with his bipolar, and I really feel that this is going to get him to have a lot of problems with bipolar disorder. It's really going to come out again, and he's going to not take his medication, because we know, again, when something really bad happens, he doesn't take his medication, and I think that's kind of what's going to happen here, but we'll have to see what happens, because that's going to be very interesting. But very sad scene. Laura then rehearses a song. Cookie listens to her record. Hakeem thinks about her as he watches footage of the session. He's upset at breaking things off. Laura finds Hakeem at her house, says he's sorry for being an ass, and he says he broke up with her to get the Empire back, but he just wants her. He does want Empire. She says she doesn't understand. He kisses her. They go inside, kiss in her room. She has to promise that they'll really be together. He promises, so she lets him take her to bed, and he says they shouldn't do this, but she wants to. She wants to have sex with him. They have sex finally, and she says she loves him. He says him too. I like that there's no drama here. I like that, he loves Laura. He wants to be with Laura, and he's not going to let Empire complicate that. If it means that he doesn't have to be CEO, then he doesn't have to be CEO. He wants Laura, and I like that. So Lucious meets Hakeem later at a railroad underpass. He asks if he has any idea where he's standing, then says that's the spot where his best friend lost his life, and he says he introduces him to his mom and risked his life for him, except one night when he shot him in the face. And yeah, that's true. I mean, that is where he killed Bucky, but basically, Lucious says he's talking about Uncle Bucky, and Lucious says that's how much Empire means to him, and says he will stop at nothing to take it back. He calls Hakeem his baby boy, says he has something for him. He hands him a gun, says decide how far you're willing to go to have the Empire. He says you want to be king, kill your father and sit on his throne, which this is crazy, and Lucious says shoot me or next time I see you I will take your life, and he is willing to die here. He says look, you want to be the CEO, just kill me, and Hakeem puts the gun to his head. Lucious says do it, it's okay. Obviously he's not going to do it. Lucious is our main character. There's no way they're going to do that. He turns his back, says this will make it easier since you like to stab people in the back. Hakeem asks if this is what he wants. Lucious says pull the damn trigger. Hakeem says he has what he wants, and he throws down the gun. He says he doesn't have to do what he wants, and he walks off as Lucious says watch your back, baby boy, I keep my promises, and that's how the episode ends. So really great episode, guys. I really love the way this episode was done. Something I really love is that this episode was completely focused. There were really only 2-3 plot lines going on, all of which were very interesting and all of which felt necessary to the story. I mean, definitely, I thought they were very well done. They're trying to, fix things from the first half of the season to make them better, and suddenly the story isn't as complicated anymore. Like, I really am starting to understand the story more, which I like, because before, it was a very complicated story, and it was very hard to tell really what was going on, just because of the way things were going. I thought it was very well done here. I definitely really enjoyed that. But let's talk about Hakeem, because now, I don't think he really wants CEO. He wants Empire, but he wants Laura as well. And is there a way he can have both of those things? Because he told Laura he wants her more, but does he still want Empire? That's really my question. Does he still want Empire? Does he want to run Empire? We'll have to see. That's something I think is going to be very interesting. Lucious and Hakeem, I understand their feud. I understand that this is kind of a situation where kill me or I kill you. It's one of those kind of things. Hakeem is going after Lucious, and Lucious is going to make sure that, he tries to get Empire back, and we'll have to see how he does that. But definitely that's going to be interesting. Cookie as the A&R desk is going to be interesting as well. I like it. She's trying to fix things as well. But I do get Camilla's point that this can't be run like gangsters. This can't be run this violent, just erratic way. They really need to think through about what they're doing, and they're not doing that, and that's kind of why she wants Empire for herself. I totally understand that. Jamal, I like that Jamal's kind of realizing that he's bi, and that's who he wants to be. He plays for both sides, and I like that. Let's hope we get no more of that, like, weird sky's not black story, and that was just weird. I hope we don't get more of that. But Andre and Rhonda, who pushed Rhonda down the stairs? I'm thinking it's Anika. Just the way that scene worked, it just makes sense to be Anika, but I hope it's not as well, because I kind of want a genuine friendship between Anika and Rhonda, but everything about that scene felt fake. Like, it felt like Anika was playing, like she is innocent when really she's not, and I kind of feel like that's what's going on here, but we'll have to see. I think it's definitely very interesting. And how's Andre going to be not having this baby? I really think this is going to break him, and he'll be really upset about it, but we'll have to see what happens. But overall, guys, great premiere. Absolutely love this mid-season premiere. I really think this is going to be a much more focused, tighter second half of the season. They said last season Empire, but it is still season 2, but it's kind of like, forget everything that happened in the first half of the season, let's move on from that, and let's focus on what actually matters and what you guys cared about, and that's what we're going to do, and I definitely like that. But overall, guys, so much you guys saw this premiere. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the Vampire Diaries, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.